Hello, everybody, and welcome to this beginner Yin Yoga session. This will be perfect if you've never done Yin before. Maybe you want to explore it a little bit and learn a bit about what it is and how it's different from other styles of yoga. So if you are ready, you need a mat, and I've got here a couple of cushions that can be useful in yin just to help support some of your poses. So a couple of cushions, a pillow, a rolled blanket, or if you have a yoga bolster or anything like that, then maybe pause me and go and find those things so that you've got something to hand in case you need it. And then when you're ready, come back. We're going to start seated. And with yin yoga, we tend just to go straight into the poses. So let's bring ourselves into a staff position. So a seated position with our legs out in front. So what we want to do is make sure that we're comfortable in the position that we start in, because you're going to be holding the poses for minutes rather than seconds. So in most other forms of yoga, you're holding something for a few seconds. But in yin, we are going to hold it for longer. So it's really important that you're comfortable in this position. So if you've got your pillows, cushions, or blankets, one option is to sit on something just to bring the pelvis a little bit higher. Another option is to bring something under the knees, particularly if you tend to hyperextend your knees, you might want to have something underneath. And another option is that you have them on top of your legs. So as we come forwards, you've got something to lean on. If you're happy with your upper body being in space, kind of just falling into space and holding here, you might not want to have anything on your lap at all. So it's completely up to you what you do here. But let's start with a nice length to the spine. And we're going to bring our hands to our hips. We're just going to slightly tip the hips forwards. And then we're going to find what we call the edge of the stretch. So in Hatha, we might come into our forward fold and maybe we can come down further. But this is quite intense. It's too intense. You're going to overstretch muscles if you come down too far and hold it. So in yin, what we're going to do is we find our starting position. We just lean in to the stretch. And as soon as you can feel those muscles start to stretch, that's what we call the edge of the pose, or the edge of the stretch. And that's where you're going to stop. So we come forwards, we find the edge, and that's where we pause. I'm going to start my timer down here. And we can curve through the back. And maybe bringing it close to the eyes if you're comfortable. I would suggest bringing it close to the eyes. And as with all forms of yoga, we want to keep the breath gently flowing in and out through the nose. So we find that edge, and then we come to stillness. And just holding the posture gives us time to consider where we can feel it. Let's inhale through the nose. Let's exhale and just check in that our knees are soft, our legs are relaxed. On each exhale, just check in that you are relaxed. Noticing where you can feel that stretch. And then you might find that that edge starts to move. So you might be here thinking, actually, that has really eased, in which case you might be able just to come down another millimeter and pause. That edge might change. Equally, you might be here thinking, that feels really intense and uncomfortable now, and you need to come back a little bit. So we aim for stillness, but the most important thing is that we're listening to what the body needs. So when we go into these stretches and we're holding them for an extended amount of time, we're actually targeting the connective tissue. So we're putting gentle stress on those ligaments, on that fascia. And we don't want to put too much stress on it because they're really fibrous, tough tissues. But that gentle stress just encourages fresh blood flow through, and it nourishes those connective tissues, which is important for all of us, but particularly as we're getting older, we want to have healthy connective tissues, healthy joints. We're just going to take a couple more breaths here. And let's slowly bring ourselves up. If you're sitting on anything, you're so welcome to stay there. If you've got it on top of your lap, you probably don't need your prop now. You're just going to bring the hands behind. We move super slowly here. And we're just going to extend through the spine, push the chest up towards the ceiling. Maybe the head comes back. Moving the spine in a different way. Let's bring the hands underneath the knees. I'm going to just bend the knees here. And let's lift the hands back. Do a little gentle rock with the knees from side to side. Keep those eyes closed. Let's come back to stillness. And we just feel the echo of that pose by being still for a moment before we move into the next one. So just noticing how those legs feel now. And then we move into our next position. So that was our forward fold. So now we're going to do a gentle back bend. So we're going to come onto our tummy. And again, your props are optional, so you can use them, you don't have to. I'm going to put mine here. We're going to come into Sphinx pose. So let's come down onto our tummy. And we are going to prop the chest up. You don't have to prop the chest up. You might feel comfortable holding Sphinx pose and holding your weight on your arms. However, we're here for some time. So let's find ourselves in a comfortable position. And if we've got a prop underneath our chest, you might even want to come onto your elbows and maybe even rest your head onto your hands. Close through the eyes. Focus in on that breath. And in most of these poses in yin, I would say on the exhale, see where you're holding your tension and where you can relax. So just check into what those legs are doing. Exhale and see if you can relax. And the same with the glutes. However, for some people in this pose, relaxing through the bottom puts more pressure and strain onto the lower back. So you might find it more comfortable holding on to a little bit of tension in the glutes. It might help release the lower back a bit. But if exhaling and releasing those glutes feels okay in the lower back, then release those glutes. We're going to take a few more moments here. Just enjoying that spine extension. One more moment now. And we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders. And we're going to lift ourselves up and back into a wide-legged child's pose. Again, feel free to have your prop underneath your tummy. That might feel nice. And just feeling release through the back. One more moment here. Hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to bring ourselves up. We probably don't need props for the next one, so let's put the cushions or blankets to one side for now. We're going to come onto our back and oh, I've lost my clock. Yes, come onto our back, stretch the legs out, and we're going to lift the arms up above the head. We're going to come into our banana pose. So let's bring the left foot to the left edge of the mat and the right foot over the top. And we're going to bring the left hand to the left edge of the mat and then bring the right hand into that left hand. So we find ourselves in banana pose, which is probably the best named pose of them all. So our hips are in the middle of our mat and then our feet and our hands are all over to the left edge of the mat. So we're going to need to hold on to some tension here. So my left foot is pointed up towards the ceiling so that my right foot has something to hook around. And there's a bit of tension in my right ankle to get that hook. And then my left hand is gripping my right hand just to hold it in place. My eyes are closed and I'm just enjoying that lovely feeling of opening through the right side body in banana pose. So once we found it, we aim to stay still. And that can be the biggest challenge, I think, for most people in Yin Yoga, the staying still. But our body will really appreciate it. Let's take a few more moments here. One more moment. And then let's release. Going to come back to corpse pose. So just lying on your back, bring everything into the center. So we find symmetry through the left and the right side body. And we're just going to take a moment to notice the echo of that pose, which means that we're going to be still here and rested, but just noticing how the right side feels compared to the left. Taking one more moment here. And then let's lift the arms up and over the head. And we're going to come onto the other side now. So let's bring the right foot to the right side of the mat. And we hook the left foot across. And then the right hand comes to the right side of the mat. And the left arm comes across. So again, our hips are in the middle. And all of our hands and feet are over to the right side of the mat. There'll be tension through the feet a little bit to keep that hook, and there'll be tension through the right hand holding onto the left. But when we found that shape, we close down the eyes. Check that we're still breathing in and out gently through the nose. And on the exhale, see if you can relax any further through the hips, through the ribs, or through the neck. And we stay in stillness. We're here for 90 seconds in total. And we stay in stillness, just allowing that left side body to open up. Those deeper connective tissues just need that time. Muscles can be targeted quite quickly when we stretch, but these deeper connective tissues need time to feel that stress, and it's a good type of stress. So Yin Yoga allows them time. One more moment. And then we release. Let's bring the arms down to the side. We're just going to pause here again in our corpse pose before we come into our final posture. So our first pose was caterpillar, our forward fold. Then we did sphinx, which was our back bend. We've done some lateral flexion and side bend. So now we're going to take a twist into the spine. So we're going to come into a two-legged twist. And again, it's worth thinking about when you do this in hatha, you might be able to bring both of your knees down and land your lower leg on the floor, but you're not holding there as long. We are going to hold it for longer. So this is where you might need your cushions, your pillow, or your rolled blanket. So I'm going to bring my cushions next to me for my knees to land on. So when you're ready, tucking your knees in towards your chest, and let's bring the knees in towards the chest, maybe a little rock from side to side first, and then we're going to bring our knees, ankles, and feet together and allow both knees to fall over to the left. Bring that left hand on top of the outside of the right knee. And we aim for both shoulder blades to be in contact with the mat. So again, it's all about finding that shape where you're just beginning to feel the stretch. We don't want to overstretch in yin. Those connective tissues just need a little bit of stress to be held. So our muscles work quite differently. They enjoy a deeper stretch that we only hold for a few seconds. But we're going to be here for 90 seconds. We've almost done a minute already. So just gently breathing in and out through the nose. On each exhale, just see if you can relax into it even more. So are you holding tension through the tummy? Are you holding tension through the legs or the hips? We exhale and release. One more moment here. And then let's bring the knees up over the chest. We're going to do a little rock from side to side. And then let's just land the soles of the feet onto the mat. We're just going to rest here for a moment. We're going to come onto the other side just now. So if you need to move cushions or props over to the other side, let's do that now. Then let's lift the knees up over the chest. Little rock, knees, ankles, and feet together. And let's allow both legs to come over to the right. And that right hand might go on top. And this left arm might come out, or maybe it's bent. It can be wherever feels comfy. And when you found that shape, bring it close to the eyes. So we haven't gone as far as we might do in hatha. We're holding for longer. And that gives us a chance to tune in and notice where we can feel the stretch and where we're holding on to any tension. If you're holding on to tension, just inhale gently, notice it. And then as you exhale, release. Inhaling and exhaling gently all the way through every pose. We are almost there. We've got about 3 more breaths. And let's bring those knees into the chest. A little rock from side to side. Just going to move my cushions out the way. We are done now with those. Oh, let's land the soles of the feet back on the mat. And we take a moment here, maybe bringing the soles of the feet to the edge of the mat, allowing both the knees to come in towards each other. Just resting here for a moment. Noticing how the body feels. Enjoying the echo of all of those poses. And then let's bring some movement back in. So wriggling the fingers or maybe circling the wrists. Let's roll the head from side to side. Bring the knees up over the chest. Last little rock here. And then let's roll onto one side and bring ourselves up to seated. Let's meet in a seated position. And let's take one last inhale together. Sweeping your arms upwards. Palms meet. Heart center. Namaste.